A man endures a grueling journey across a scorching desert to find a rare golden apple. His only goal is to save his dying wife. Yet just days after he returns and places the cure in her hands, he will murder her over that exact same piece of fruit. This wasn't an act of deep-seated malice. He destroyed his own life because of a specific set of cognitive errors, the kind of mistakes that remain hidden in our daily routines until they trigger a catastrophe. Most of us operate on a psychological system that is remarkably fragile. We rely on raw emotion to process complex reality, leaving us exposed to a chain reaction of ruined relationships and irreversible decisions. We often discuss a top 1% mindset as a way to build wealth or climb a corporate ladder, but its most vital function is simpler. It acts as an emotional shield, designed to stop a single moment of panic from burning your entire life to the ground. This story comes to us as an ancient cautionary tale from the Arabian Nights, set in the markets and palaces of Baghdad. It is a study of how easily human judgment can fracture. The tragedy begins when Caliph Harun al-Rashid's guards discover a heavy chest in the Tigris River. Inside is the body of a beautiful young woman. The discovery sends the caliph into a rage, demanding the killer be found within 3 days. When the killer, a young merchant, eventually confesses, he tells a story of devotion. He describes spending his life savings to secure 3 golden apples from a distant land, believing they were the only thing that could cure his wife's failing health. But the momentum shifts when the merchant is walking through the streets of Baghdad. He sees a slave casually playing with a golden apple, one he recognizes instantly. He stops the man and demands to know its origin. The slave, wanting to sound important to a stranger, tells a careless lie. He claims his mistress gave it to him as a gift. This is where we see the weight of careless speech. Most people treat their words as disposable, ignoring the way a single lie can ripple outward. A more deliberate mindset treats every word as a tool, with the potential to build or destroy. The merchant doesn't ask for proof. He doesn't go to the authorities. He allows the lie to settle as a fact, rushes home and strangles his wife in a blind, grieving fury. He acted on a vacuum of data. While a reactive mind reaches an immediate conclusion, a resilient one uses curiosity as a buffer, choosing to investigate the reality of a situation rather than surrendering to the first story it hears. In a city as interconnected as Baghdad, a private tragedy rarely stays private. It quickly morphs into a kingdom-wide crisis. The caliph used the murder as a personal insult to his reign. In his ego, he issues an impossible decree. He threatens to execute his loyal vizier, Jafar, if the killer isn't produced by the 3rd day. We often process external events as if the world is revolving around us. However, a focused mindset requires removing the ego from the equation, recognizing that the chaos of others is rarely a targeted attack on our own authority. Jafar, paralyzed by the threat to his life, begins overthinking the complexity of the crime. He searches the far edges of the kingdom, convinced the answer must be hidden somewhere difficult to reach. When uncertainty strikes, the common reaction is to panic or overcomplicate the solution. The alternative is to tolerate that lack of clarity and focus on the practical, grounded steps right in front of you. When we map this out, we can see how these errors connect. It starts with a single point of failure: careless words. This triggers an immediate assumption, which provides the fuel for the violence that follows. That central tragedy then feeds into the caliph's ego threat, which flows down into the vizier's overthinking paralysis. This is a closed-loop system of failure. Isolated bad choices rarely stay isolated. They feed into one another until the entire structure collapses. On the 3rd day, the mystery resolves with a brutal irony. Jafar finds the missing apple in the hands of his own daughter. His own slave had stolen it from the merchant's son and used it to tell a boastful lie. The husband realizes his wife was innocent, but no amount of regret can change the outcome. The damage is permanent because he allowed his momentum to carry him past the point of no return. What we call a top 1% mindset is effectively a way to sever this chain reaction. It is the ability to stop the momentum of a tragedy before the final blow is struck. It requires leaning into the vital, intentional pause between an event happening to you and your decision to react. That sliver of time is where you decide if you will be a victim of your emotions or the master of your response. The next time you are faced with a moment of uncertainty or a perceived insult, take that pause. Ask the questions the merchant didn't ask. Verify the reality. Do not let your ego write a tragic end to your own story.